It has sucked. Being an entrepreneur sucks. It's difficult. This is the hardest job I've ever had. And I went to engineering school and I, got my way through that. And this is way more difficult because there's not a roadmap.
Where do you draw your inspiration from? Our guest today saw her grandmother struggling with arthritis and embarked on an entrepreneurial journey to help her with her hands. The result of that is an amazing medtech product that is now helping thousands of patients who struggle and suffer from hand and joint issues. But is the entrepreneurial journey easy? It is not. And our guest today shares her raw and authentic journey, her lessons learned, her advice to her younger self. And so let's dive into the conversation today with Téa Phillips as we talk about the highs and the lows of being an entrepreneur. Téa Phillips, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Thanks for joining us here at GSD Factor Podcast.
I'm happy to be here, Misha. Thank you for the invitation.
All right, Téa, as we dive in, you are a successful female entrepreneur in the medtech space, which I'm so excited for us to dive into. But tell everybody a little bit about your story first.
All right. So my name is Téa Philips. I'm the founder of ATS Innovations and the inventor of the MetaFlex glove. MetaFlex is something that I invented when I was studying mechanical engineering at Tennessee Tech University. And I did that because we were trying to help people manage arthritis at home. We found compression and grip strengthening were two of the most recommended therapies that were, non-medicinal, nothing like opioids, just a holistic way to manage pain. And compression was easy enough, but people weren't doing their grip strengthening exercises because it's burdensome and it's time consuming and you have to do 15 reps every day to see progress. So we made a wearable grip strengthener that allows you to build that strength, build that mobility, flexibility, range of motion as you're going about your day. It's got resistance bands that are sewn into the fingertips. And then they run the length of the fingers, mimicking the tendons, ensuring natural hand motion, and just provide a little resistance as you're closing your hand so that you're building grip strength as you go about your daily activities. And then it has that really gentle compression. So it's good with circulation, pain, swelling, stiffness. And we got it to market last year as a way to help people with arthritis. And it's helped so many more people. And our users are using it in ways that I didn't expect. Like half of our users are using it to sleep, to just keep their fingers extended during the night. And yeah, it's been a really great journey. I'm happy to be on it.
Amazing. Congratulations. I think that
Thank you.
You've brought something to the world that is going to help so many people and really want to applaud you for that. As we are talking about stepping into your extraordinary this season and really what that entrepreneurial journey is like, and you and I have had a chance to meet and talk so many times. What I love about our conversations is they're always raw, they're always authentic. It's always what's going good, what's going not so good. And so let's have that honest conversation early on, because I think that so many times entrepreneurs are they have those ups and those downs, and I think because of our society and social media, it always shows the good, and I really want to encourage and empower those that there's not always good days, and it's that confidence and that resilience to press through and persevere through those not so great days that get us to the other side. So you as this amazing budding entrepreneur, what is Téa's tidbit of information around how it's been?
Yeah, thank you for that. It has been difficult. It sucks being a business owner. And when I say that, other business owners start nodding their head and they're like, "Yeah, girl, that's what it is." And I don't see people that look like me in the rooms that I go into. I'm like the odd young woman out constantly. Whether it's investors, whether it's customers, whether it's other founders, people that look like me aren't doing what I'm doing yet, and that's changing and that's growing. But it is sucked. Being an entrepreneur sucks. It's difficult. This is the hardest job I've ever had. And I went to engineering school and I, got my way through that. And this is way more difficult because there's not a roadmap. Everybody is doing this differently, and there's a million ways to do it, and there's a million ways to succeed, and there's even more ways to fail. And failure is also, I think that some of my resilience comes from, I love learning, and I see failure as a learning opportunity instead of something that like gets me down. Like we were talking earlier, and I was like, the journey has just been like getting knocked down and then getting back up and taking that next step forward and then getting knocked down again. And every once in a while I take that next step forward, and then the staircase becomes an elevator and I like rise to this next level, and it makes you feel so good. But that's few and in between. So I have something that I'm really passionate about, and I have like a purpose and a reason for doing this. Like I've talked about, my grandma had really bad arthritis and I watched her lose her mobility. And that's why this felt so important to me to bring to market. And then once I got it to market, I've got customers that say, thank you, you changed my life. I can sleep at night. This is a miracle. And it's kind of mind blowing to me to read those, but it's also like the fuel that keeps me going, because this is a very difficult journey. And if I didn't have something that was having such a big impact on people's lives, then I don't know if I'd still be on this journey. I'd probably, be making six figures as an engineer working for some large company. But instead I'm like scraping by and just going on this like passion project, on this mission to reinvent healthcare.
What you touch on is so important. It's having that why and remembering what is driving you. And I think for entrepreneurs, that has to continue to be your North Star, is what got me started in this? Why do I wake up every morning and continue to do the things that I need to do, continue to put myself out there, continue the grind? And having that passionate why, having that story, sharing that story, I think is so important and can't be forgotten.
Yeah, I don't want to just share the highlights. I want to be real. I want people to know what it takes to do what I'm doing. I just think mentoring is so important, and I couldn't have gotten anywhere that I am without someone telling me their journey and their story and what it was like for them, so I can figure out, does this sound like something I want to do? And so I try to share the good and the bad and the ugly, because our lives right now are on social media, and that's where people go to try to find who you are. And I don't want to just post about the good things and share the good things, even though, we all like lean toward that way. And that's kind of how I have been. But I also try to share like the difficult times, because the truth is, life is sometimes a lot harder than it is easy, and a lot more bad than it is good. And when you share those raw moments, then other people feel less alone, and we can really build community and grow together.
I love what you touched on around mentorship, because I think mentorship is so important. I feel very honored to be able to be a mentor in a couple different places, and I have learned so much through that. But it's a chance for me to share, here's my experience, here's the path that I've taken. And I talk about in my books the ability to learn something from everything and everyone. And that is so important, because you can learn a lot by observing, you can learn a lot by absorbing, you can learn a lot by interacting, and you can also learn a lot by living it. But through mentorship, and especially those that take you under their wing, I think is such a valuable lesson because, they've walked a path, a similar path. It's not exactly your path, but they have walked a path in their entrepreneurial journey. And for them to be able to share, it allows you to then decide and navigate those zigs and those zags. And which ones do you feel like you need to try for yourself, or which ones do you think you can avoid? And so, what is one of those mentor nuggets or lessons that you have learned from one of your mentors that either you decided to be like, heard, but I need to live this one out myself, or I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna navigate around that. I'm gonna pivot around that.
That's a really good question. I have a board of advisors, and I talk to them every month. And they have one of the most recent talks that we had was about the team is growing at ATS, and how do I find the right hire and bring on the right person? And I feel like I talk to everybody that I can about all of these problems. When I can see that they're, even years away, because I want to prepare myself. And so I've been learning about servant leadership from one of my mentors since 2019. I said, I'm the CEO of a company. I want to learn about leadership. I've never led people. And he had a lot of experience doing that. And so we just talked about how the CEO and the head of the company, people think it's like a pyramid, like the CEO's on the top. Everybody's working for the CEO, but it's meant to be inverted. The CEO supports their staff, who supports their staff, who like direct reports. And you're meant to be a resource for them. They're not meant to be a resource for you. Like, sure, they take on responsibilities that otherwise you'd have to take on, but it's so servant leadership is the biggest thing, I think, for any leader that wants to grow, because you need to have people who feel like they're a part of the company and feel like they're supported. And so you need to make that reality for them to feel that way. So a lot of the lessons that I've learned are based around people. And when I talk to other entrepreneurs, a lot of their struggle is it's people problems. It's managing people and trying to figure out how to get them to provide the most value to the company, but how to get them to do that is for the company to provide value to them beyond a paycheck. You need to offer them flexible work. You need to look at, is profit sharing, does that make sense? Like we just talked about Sherry Deutschman in her book, Lunch with Lucy. Like that's how she grew her company, is to give people a reason to increase the bottom line other than just bragging rights. Like they get a check every month. Yeah, flexible work, being as good to your people as you can. That's one of the most impactful things that I've talked to my advisors about.
I love that you have that board of advisors because I think it's so important, to have those people that you can lean into, that you can call upon. Within our GSD Factor life, we talk about the GSD Factor clan, and the importance of that, and the importance of having both that kind of personal, that personal group, but then also that, which is your clan, and then that insiders board, which is more of that professional group. And, I think it's so important for any entrepreneur out there, but also just any individual, whether, whether you're in the corporate space, whether you're a student, whatever it is, you need to have those people that you can go to, that you can call upon and say, here's what's going on. I need this advice. And to be able to listen to that advice and then figure out what serves you and what doesn't serve you.
Yeah, I agree. The people you surround yourself with they set the course for your life. They're your input. That's who you're conversing with. And so I was missing something that I really needed for a long time, and I found that with Brain Trust, which is an entrepreneurial organization specifically for women business owners, only for women business owners. And you meet monthly with a core group, 5 to 7 people, for 4 hours and go over your business and tell them about your problems and your challenges. And it's different than talking to your friends, because you're not going to solve your business problems with your friends. You're going to solve your personal problems with your friends. And maybe you're not even solving, maybe you're just like having fun together. But you need that group of like-minded business executives, someone who's in your field, at your level, doing what you're doing, that you can share lessons learned with. So I have this group of advisors that I meet with that are industry experts in some really specific, either it's manufacturing or it's medical device or it's marketing or it's athletic sales or it's something else. And then I have this group of female CEOs who talk about, the struggles of balancing work life and caring for a parent, or work life and caring for a child, or employee problems or sales problems. And yeah, you need all of those different groups of people so that you, as a person and as a professional, can achieve your goals.
Amazing. So when we think about stepping into your extraordinary and Téa stepping into her extraordinary here in the year of 2025, what does that look like for you this year?
Extraordinary in 2025. Right now, like I said earlier, I'm looking at hiring. So extraordinary in 2025 is going to be bringing on a teammate. Hopefully I find it by the end of 24. But if not, I need to find a teammate at ATS to handle operations. So extraordinary for me would be to be able to support that person and have them take over some of my daily responsibilities, so that I can focus on where we're going and not where we're at. So if I can take a step back from the daily operations of the business and start planning for our future and for our exit, that would be me stepping into my extraordinary.
And I think what you just talked about and described is where so many entrepreneurs sit, right? Is,
Mm-hmm.
when you, as an entrepreneur, you have to wear so many hats. And it's, when do you wear that hat? How are you juggling, or what I like to call work-life family integration? How are you prioritizing that roadmap we talk about here within that GSD factor mindset of that now, that next, and that later, and how it's agile and it's flexible. And I think what you're talking, what's great is you've been able to bring it up to this point, and you're ready to bring on that next person so that you can slow down in the
Mm-hmm.
day to day, so that you can speed up for the future and for those next amazing steps that you're going to take the company. As we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about, within the GSD factor life of, there's 6 attributes of being confident, inquisitive, imaginative, being present, resilient, and influential. As an entrepreneur, as Téa Phillips, is there one attribute for you, or is it a mix of a couple, or is it all of them? And if so, what does that look like for you?
It's all of them. Like you said, wear many hats. And when it comes to hiring, my next hire has to wear many hats. And I think probably the next 5 hires need to wear many hats. And so you have to touch on all of those. So I'll just go down the list. Confident. I always have to be confident. You have to know, you have to be humble enough to, admit when something has happened, but you have to be confident in your next step forward. Um, and like I talked about earlier, confidence looks different for me week after week as a woman. Like right now, I'm low energy, I'm in that phase of the cycle. And so my confidence is more like, yeah, I can do it. And other weeks, it's like, yeah, absolutely, I can like make this happen. And so it's such an interesting thing for me to like start thinking about, like the cycle syncing part of it and planning out work for different phases of my cycle. Like, when can I do deep work? When should I be talking to people? When should I be doing press? Things like that. Inquisitive is something that I always am doing. Like I talked about earlier, I'm like a lifelong learner. And so I'm constantly wearing many hats and trying to solve all these problems that I haven't faced before in the business. Imaginative is where I need to be in 2025. So I've got new products that are launching next year, and I need to, really finalize the design and make everything beautiful and imagine what that's going to look like, so that we can create the right product and market the right product. Present is every single day. You got to show up. You've got to be present. Because if you're, daydreaming is good for sometimes when you're strategy planning. But mostly you have to be right here in the moment. Resilient is every single day. There are days where I get like the best news of my life, and then in 30 minutes, I get another email and it's the worst news of my life. And I just have to pick myself up off the floor. Like I said, like I take a step forward, I get knocked down, and I just have to stand back up and keep going. So resiliency is probably the most important part of being an entrepreneur, because it sucks. And it's going to take a long time of it sucking before you get to the part where you're selling the business and everything's good and golden. And then influential is something that I'm working on too, establishing myself as an expert, because I have done all this research and I do have a ton of knowledge that I can help other people with. And like mentoring too, I want to be a mentor and I want to help other people. And being influential is just part of being the face of the brand, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. It's something definitely that I struggled with. I was like, I don't want to be the face of the brand. I just want to make the thing, and I want to help the people. I want to sell the thing, but I don't want to like have to film commercials of myself and do ads. And I was looking with one of my interns on what ads were performing the best, and it was the ones with me in them, and I'm like, oh. it's just part of it, and it's something that I've accepted now and I kind of enjoy. But yeah, being influential is another huge. So everything that all of these core things that you have listed are so ingrained in being an entrepreneur, and you can't be just one of them.
Very well said. And I, so proud of you for continuing to put yourself out there and to, and you're right. As women, we've got to, we do have to figure out those times to be doing the things and getting the shit done, and those times to be present, and those times to recharge. And I think that that's so important. If you were to give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
What would I tell young Téa? Oh, I got one. I'd tell young Téa, don't invite your boyfriend into your business. What, are you stupid? Are you kidding me? Come on. Be for real with me right now, Téa. Come, girl. That would be it. I'd probably smack her around a bit.
I love it. It's so raw. It's so authentic. Amazing.
That's the one thing that I was like, that's a mistake. I like to learn from my mistakes. And I think I talked about this yesterday when I was talking to someone else. They're like, what advice would you give? And I was like, I wouldn't tell her anything. I like learning. I like failing. I like making my mistakes. But no, I would tell her that. I would say, don't invite your boyfriend into your business. What, are you stupid? I'd frame it as a question, so she'd have to answer me.
And there you go. There you have it.
Yeah.
Téa, thank you so much for being on our show today. And I, just thank you and commend you for bringing the beautifully raw and authentic, right? I think, those are the stories that we really want to highlight, is to be encouraging and empowering to other founders, especially female founders that are in that, in those industries that we're trailblazing. And I think that, and we're breaking those glass ceilings, because I think so many times we don't get to hear enough of these stories. So thank you so much. We're excited to continue to follow in your journey. and excited to watch you step into your extraordinary here in 2025. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Misha. Thank you for having me. And if anyone wants to chat with me, find me on LinkedIn. And you can also go to my website if you want to buy MetaFlex gloves. It's METAFLEX glove.com.
Amazing. And we'll put all of those into the notes as well. And everybody, don't forget to get shit done. Have a great one.
Get shit done.
Thank you for listening to the GSD Factor podcast. I'm your host, Misha Blaymeyer-Farish. Be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, as I love connecting with our listeners to hear how you are getting shit done in your personal and professional life. Be sure to visit our website at gsdfactor.com, where you can take a persona assessment that's going to help you figure out what type of GSDer you are. There's also a ton of resources and tools for both yourself and your tiny humans in your life. We appreciate you rating and subscribing our podcast episode today. And don't forget to get shit done.